There we go. Another week. Another episode of Too Long for a Call.
Yes, and you introduced a concept that you actually stole from a friend of yours.
All right, let's
which
hear it
is,
out.
well, we haven't done it, so we're going to do it live on camera right now. But it was about making an energy audit and trying to do these more creative endeavors when we are in the good side of our energy. So can you tell a little bit about the concept and let's do the exercise?
Got it. Oh, it's funny that you mentioned it because just on my way to the desk, I was just thinking like, oh boy, like I'm really not feeling like recording an episode, but here I am, entering my alter ego that is completely dissociated with however real Stefan is feeling.
So are we disregarding what we promised ourselves to be more in tune with our energy? And
here is the thing, like so often I forget the things that I say like a week ago. I mean, I always have like the best intentions. It's really hard for me like to stay on top of all the things that I decide on, Like 1 week is surprisingly long time to forget things.
I think that this is the hard thing about this hustle culture, self-improvement, and all these things, because you just can't be on top of everything. Like if you need to follow all the good advice out there, like you would do nothing else in your day but take all the right supplements, open your mouth on sunlight to absorb more vitamin D with your tongue, and I don't know what, like all the crazy things, and drink a glass of water with vinegar. And it's just insane amount of things. Journal your emotions every second and audit your energy. That sounds like your life.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Like it's a lot of logistic noise, and I also think like it's so easy to get caught in these modes of improvement, and it costs a lot of energy in the background. Like we don't realize it, but it's a lot of like just energy spent in the background for doing the right thing. And it's really hard to imagine that like people like high performers or whatever, like people like Steve Jobs were doing all this nonsense. Yet like we get caught on the promise. That's the thing. Like we want to believe in the promise that if you open up your mouth and you consume vitamin D, you're going to feel more energized. But at the same time, in the background, you're just spending like 10, 20, 30% on beating yourself up and like micromanaging, like, your day so that you do the right things.
Yeah. It's very interesting moment of time because just there's information for everything. And I had this discussion with my son yesterday because he was asking me, hey, mom, like you never let me drink any juice and any Sprite and Coke, yet half of your childhood stories are how you were drinking just Sprite and Coke. And I just don't get it. Like, this doesn't seem fair to me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, but like, we didn't have the information that we have today of how unhealthy it is. And I just, as a parent, like, I can't let you have these things knowing how unhealthy they are. He's like, yeah, but you had them and you're okay. And I'm like, I understand that. But now there is much more temptation, and this has been a lot on my mind, like how much information there is. And just at some moment it feels that everything is wrong, like everything is fake and dangerous. And I cannot fail to transmit that energy because I consume knowledge about what is healthy, what is good, what is the right way of doing things. So I can't fail to constantly be saying no to the kids of everything that's out there. Like, Mom, can I have these crackers? Oh, let me see. Oh, no, you can't have these crackers. Mom, can I have this cookie? No, no, you can't. Can I have this? And of course, I say a bunch of yeses throughout the day to things they shouldn't have. But I say mostly no. And I understand why it's so annoying to the kids. And they feel like, but all my peers are eating this shit or and you say no. So they think I'm the enemy. So I spend tons of energy trying to educate them about what's right. Like I had blood work this week. I took my kid with me and we were looking at the results and I was like, look, Yeah, I've been under eating fish, and look, this is omega-3, and you immediately can see it in the blood, and it gives you energy. But I haven't been good. Like, you know how in the past weeks I've been just cooking lasagna and easy things. Well, look, it immediately translates into how I'm feeling and how my body is reacting. So I'm trying to teach him a bunch of these things, but it actually is very hard, and a lot of energy during my day is spent on trying to ditch modern living. Essentially, oh, there's a lollipop here. Oh, go the other way. Oh, there is a lucky cracker here. Oh, go the other way. Mm, yeah, and
Yeah.
I fear that I'm transmitting this to the kids, and I do it with my best intention to keep them away from these bad things now that I know that they are bad. But then I am sitting with this question that you near puzzle with, is it really good? Like,
Mm.
what about if all the anxiety around how bad things are and so on are the actual bad thing that's gonna maybe
Yeah.
affect their mental health?
No,
And that will be
it's
way worse than any impact on their physical health that these sugar bombs would have caused.
it's a valid thing. I also think it's a valid question when it comes to our own personal lives. Like, is that energy and control and anxiety like more destructive than the things that we're avoiding to do? But there is also another thing to consider, that when we were growing up, there wasn't as much abundance. Like, there were, of course, like things that were obviously not good for us. But as you said, like, there was not a lot of awareness about this. But the thing is that the human body is like surprisingly good at healing itself. So it's not like it's going to be the end of the world if they have like a candy every now and then. Like, it becomes a problem if this turns out to be their main diet, which it wouldn't, because what counts is what you as parents are doing. And if you're eating well, then naturally, like, your kids are also going to be eating well.
You would think that, but I've seen plenty of examples of the opposite.
Yeah, but like, when you think about it, like, we were eating so much crap when we were growing up. Good food too, but also like at school there was horrible food that they were selling around schools.
Yeah, in Bulgaria, we didn't have like lunch boxes. We would get pocket money and then go and buy some food from this.
Yeah, because carrying like your lunch from home, like, it was considered super embarrassing. Like, people would think that you were poor. Like, nobody had money back then except a handful of kids. Yet, like, people thinking that you didn't have money or your family was struggling financially was like the worst thing that could happen to you as a kid. So, like, the cool thing was
Yeah.
like to buy some shady food, from the neighborhood around the school. And I remember like these sandwiches. So it was like this really poor quality bread. It was like it was like looking like baguette. I would not consider it a baguette. And there were super, super, super thin slices of 3 or 4 cucumbers and 2 slices of tomato and a thin slice of ham and cheese. The whole thing was wrapped in plastic and it was warmed in the microwave with the plastic on, right? Like, it's a cocktail of chemicals that, you would consume every day. That was it. And I don't know, like, probably cost like $50 or something like this.
Yeah.
We were eating a lot of junk and, we turned out okay.
Did we really?
More or less. We're on the spectrum towards okay.
Oh, so for me, I wasn't tempted by the sandwiches. So I was spending my pocket money on sweets. So like a valid breakfast plus lunch will be a box of 6 waffles, like this kind of crispy. They're like kind of a cookie thing. They
Yeah.
don't have them that much in the US, but like waffles with some kind of cream in between. There's chocolate. It definitely is not a chocolate. It's like a brown looking mass of
Let me pull some
sugar and
reference.
all kinds of.
Let me pull reference so that the audience, our audience of thousands of people that are watching
Yeah.
like, this is the waffles that we're talking about. These ones.
Yes. Yes. So I'll eat like legitly 4 or 5 of these.
They were good. Like,
But this is my breakfast and lunch. Like this would be something that I would expect to give me sufficient energy between now I've eaten, let's say, dinner at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
and I'm getting this at around 9 a.m. or so. I
So you were
expect it
doing
to
intermittent
last.
fasting without.
Yes, I expect it to last until 2 p.m. or sometimes if I'm not going straight home from school, I'm going out with friends, I'll expect it to last and give me good energy until
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 p.m. It's insane. It's
But
insane.
I was
And
doing
then
the
I
same
would
thing.
diversify, so it's not just sweet. Can you show Soletti self
Yeah.
sticks? This would be my, like, I would live on that.
Well, they were good.
I would
They
live.
actually have a lot of calories, these ones.
Yeah, I bet they do. All
These
this
ones
shit has a lot of colors.
these ones haven't changed their packaging since the 90s. Like talk this is what I'm talking like. This is brand consistency. This is how they looked in the 90s, that's how they look today. And
So they know the ones they don't need to change.
but then
And
they're like,
Did Cruz change
I think they did. um
a little bit? They also made like this less salty version.
I'm trying to see like older versions.
No, internet is not that rich. Oh, I love these holiday ones.
Oh my
Oh
goodness, like
my
these were
god.
the best.
Yeah, this like a real treat.
This
It
was
was
like
very rare
15
occasion treat.
cents. I'm 15 cents, and like I couldn't stop eating them. Like it was only one piece in packaging.
Yeah.
Do you remember like this one as well?
Oh my god, I do. I do. I
So
remember when they came out. This was breakfast.
it was good, yeah. And this was like considered breakfast, and it was like a cheaper knockoff of the Nestle ones. Like I really love these ones because like they had this cool branding around them. There was a
Oh,
character.
this one was no. This was too expensive. I have never had that.
Yeah, that's why like this is like the cheaper version.
But when they came out, like legitly, like I'll not eat them with milk. I'll just eat
Yeah,
the crackers.
but I was also eating like the cocoa powder, just spooning it from the box.
Yes, exactly. Oh my
Uh,
god, my entire childhood.
oh,
Oh, those. Oh, I
this just
love this
brings me back in
chocolate.
time. Actually, a friend of mine told me that, you know, when Kumalisa and Svoge, like they actually had a pretty good uh, chocolate recipe. But like in the 90s, um, after democracy was introduced in Bulgaria, everybody went crazy about Milka. And Milka was inferior in terms of quality, but we were crazy about it because it just looked so legit. Like,
Yeah.
this looked like something that was coming from the West, and it was considered really, really awesome.
I
Whereas like
love the Svoga chocolate.
I
I
haven't
love
really
them.
tried it recently.
Not recently now, but yeah, back in the days. I was having a discussion about this with my mom, and I said, "Well, mom, like when we were kids, we ate a lot of crap. Like legitly, it will be considered like an afternoon snack that we get chocolate waffle. It's like, oh, you're hungry. Here is a chocolate waffle."
Yeah,
And she said, yeah, but oh, you should also remember that the ingredients in the 90s were much more clean. A chocolate waffle back then was different from a chocolate waffle today because we didn't have as much of all these food substitutes and fake stabilizers and whatnot,
yeah,
chemicals that are right now preservants and things like that that are present in each and every
yeah. But I
food.
don't think that if you have left one of these waffles, they would go. They would spoil. Like they would just last forever, probably. So I'm not sure
This
about.
one, favorite, my favorite, favorite, favorite cookies. Because you know what was the rule in
Ah,
my household?
What?
So with my grandma and grandpa, before I go to kindergarten, I'm
Yeah.
allowed to have one cookie. The kids are laughing so much when I tell them these stories. So I would always wait out until my grandma and grandpa are separate. So I'll go to one of them and say, "Hey, grandma, can I please have my for the trip to kindergarten?" I'll get it. And then I'll wait on until grandma, um, she needs to pick up something from the other room or something. And then I only have grandpa and go to grandpa and be like, "Oh, grandpa, now it's time for the cookies." So I'll always double down on the cookies. And when, sometimes I'll get caught and sometimes I don't have the opportunity to ask for two, but like most of the times it will work. And now that I'm thinking as a kid, how would it work? Like they would hear me, they'll see the number of cookies. I think they just pretend that you didn't know what I'm doing just to make me happy.
Well, I think that you were working within constraints, and you figured out what is the thing that you could legally do without actually lying.
Yeah.
So basically, like this was the original Oreo. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, these are all like with the holiday above, and this one, these are Turkish brands.
yeah. Mm, do you remember that they were cigarettes?
Yes,
Uh,
cigarette.
that
Oh my God, the best chewing gums. I love them so much.
it's like the 90s are just ridiculous.
But they had that in the US as well. They would have candies that look like cigarettes as well.
Ah, well,
Yeah, it was quite common. I've heard about it in Denmark as well, because it was, kids always want to look alike the grown-ups, so they
obviously.
would make sense that since it was so normal to smoke to make the chewing gum.
Let me see what other
Mm.
foods we can bring.
Now this one's a turbo, Devki Turbo.
Yeah,
Oh
this
my
was like a
God.
classic. So basically, we would buy them. Like the chewing gum was nothing exceptional, but we would buy them for the
Yes,
pictures. Like the 90s were notorious about collecting stuff. So you would
yeah.
be collecting these ones, you would be collecting. Um, there were these little sheets of paper that had something printed on them, and they were infused with some scent, so they had perfume on them.
Very healthy, I'm sure.
But like there was a rumor
Oh my God, I
that was
had
going.
Pokemon, Pocahontas. I had her, and I had Coyote. So cool. And
But
Bugs
do you
Bunny.
remember? Do you
This
remember
could
that
have
there
been
was
my collection.
there was a rumor that they were infused with narcotics, so
Yes, I remember.
so that kids get hooked on them.
Yeah.
But we were doing a lot of trading, in the
Uh-huh.
kindergarten. Like we would trade.
The first three grades we
Holy
were
shit!
in there
I
for
remember
sure.
this.
Yeah. I still have mine of Backstreet Boys because I
I
was a super, super fan.
Nostalgia is such a weird thing. Like I look at these things and they just bring me like
Yeah. And
so.
watching the wrestling matches, but we were like fanatics. I don't know what it was like a period. I think I was first grade, like 97, 98, when the wrestling was like a really big thing on TV.
Yeah,
And then the kids were collecting the cards of all the contenders and so on. Hulk, right?
yeah, Hulk Hogan.
And the Rock. Like we all knew these
Yeah,
actors from the wrestling before we knew them from Hollywood.
my parents didn't allow me like to watch it, so I was feeling that I was missing out. Like all the other kids were like doing
Yeah,
reenactments at school, just doing wrestling moves, and I
yeah.
didn't know what any of them were because my dad considered this to be like super retarded thing, like to
He is right. Like he is right. And I was also not allowed to watch it if there were grown-ups around. It's just that we spent a lot of time on our own during the day, and then there was no grown-up supervision,
supervision.
so we definitely watched it. But it was definitely not something that was allowed to watch when the grown-ups were around.
Were you collecting like Pokemons?
Oh, big time, big time. I was showing it to the kids and I was telling them this story. So uh, they were they were coming in these Cheetos, in the Cheetos
Yeah,
bags.
like these circular ones.
Yes. So the game was that you would stack up a few
Yeah,
Pokemons, and then you're gonna take one and you're gonna flip the whole stack, and whichever word head or tail, whatever
yeah.
you've agreed on, you get to collect them back with yourself. So that was like a big game in school. Like you get it with your friends and you're just gonna flip each other's Pokemons.
Initially, like they were these ones, like they were
Yeah.
hoppies, hoppy. We call them
Mhm.
hoppy, but I see that they're called hoppies.
Mhm.
So they were they had all these like diverse illustrations on them, and then there were like these ones that were called bombs, and essentially you would use them like you would stack them like just as you described it, facing down into a tower, and then you would use like the bombs like to smack the
Mhm.
tower, and whatever flipped face up, then you would collect
Yeah.
it. So like there was like this gambling element to it.
Mhm.
Like teachers in our school at one point like forbid us like from doing it. But I was so drawn like to these pictures, like they were so interesting.
Yeah, I love the pictures exactly of the printed sheets. Uh, Mirish stiliščita,
Yeah.
these ones. And me and my girlfriend, we were also collecting sticker sheets.
Yeah.
Because it was just so special. And my brother was collecting postmarks and coins. So he would go to secondhand
Yeah, like antique
markets,
shops.
antique shops, things like that, and buy coins and buy marks. And I was collecting the soccer stickers for sure.
Were really
How are they
nice.
called? Napkins with different characters
Ah,
on them. I had like a really
it's actually that.
expensive collection. It was taking too much space because they're kind of bulky to collect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had forgotten about the
Remember?
napkins. Yeah.
Oh my god, I had the one with the 101 uh, Dalmatines.
Ah, yeah, like
Oh my
those.
god, they were,
I think
yes.
it was mostly girls that were collecting napkins. Like it was
Yeah, likely.
like
I
the
just thought they were
90s
so
were so
pretty.
much about collecting things.
Yeah, and I would not at all consider using the napkin. Like that was absolutely
But it was
unthinkable.
also like it was also rare to get pretty stuff. So there was
Yes.
just not that abundance of things generally. I
No.
mean, I remember even like um, these Lego catalogs, let's say 1996.
Oh,
So
I've never had that.
you've
I've
never had it.
never.
I had all the catalogs.
Never. No way. Oh
I
my
had all the
god.
catalogs. I was
Never.
spending countless hours just like going through the catalog and imagining the different, like they
Yeah.
were photographed in such a interesting way. Some of them
Yeah.
had these little comic strips, and
Yeah.
the setups were just so, look at this, like it was just so
Yeah.
interesting.
So
So
interesting.
I had little Lego because it was so expensive, but I knew every single thing on the catalog. So every year, like they would
Mm-hmm.
roll out a new catalog. And
Yeah.
I remember that it wasn't easy to get one because they
No.
wouldn't just
No,
hand them
this would
off
be.
like this.
Yeah. I don't know. Your parents have put up some crazy hustle to get them. Because that is a value by itself. You know, my kids, since they're born, they have
Mm.
had all the Lego catalogs. Like, we would make, like, since they're babies, like, we'll make a trip to the Lego store or, like, to the toy store. So right now they're every half a year, so for kind of a season.
Really?
So still till date, like we have most of the catalogs. They're very used. Like if I show you some of the catalogs, like missing pages and things, we use them almost daily in our house. Even 2 days ago, when I was with a bunch of kids and they were sitting on some mom's phone. And I was like, hey, kids, come over. Let's look at the Lego catalog. One of the kids was like, I don't really like Lego. And I was like, just for the game, let's pretend that right now we can get anything from that page. So let's
Mm.
write names on what they want. And then we'll just like go through 45 minutes of just flipping pages in the catalog and naming things. Oh, I want this one. I want this one. And just pretending that we're getting it. And the catalogs are the best thing.
Yeah,
And I worked in a company that produced catalogs for companies.
I remember that.
And that's when
Digitalizing
I
them.
really, yeah. And that's when I really understood the value of a catalog and put some thoughts behind how important is this curated experience. I think my boss said it really nicely that the catalog is an experience that with every page you can be something else. In the era of personalization and the digital experiences vastly focus on personalization, it really quickly becomes like a rabbit hole of who you already are. So you like black shirts? Okay, the algorithm is gonna show you next page of 10 different types of black shirts. Whereas a catalog is like with every page, okay, you could be, you could wear pink and look great. Look at this guy that's on the golf course wearing pink. Like, how cool is that? You could be that person. And it's much more about that dream, that alternative self that you can project onto the curated experience. So I have whole new appreciation for catalogs.
But it's essentially like what also program directors were doing with TV, the magazines, the catalogs, all these things. There's still some of that, but the algorithms are doing a lot of this, and essentially that projection of seeing a lifestyle um, that appears appealing is done like through social media at an even higher rate, because we're so saturated like with these images of these perfect lifestyles that we want to see like what is it actually behind the scenes. And there's been this trend going on for some time, like in social media, where you have um, videos of how certain commercials or photographs are done and behind the scenes, and then revealing like the actual thing.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. This becomes even more interesting than the actual shots, kind of like showing a slice of reality. Um, and especially like
For sure.
now with
With
AI, when it's so perfect and polished, like real things, I think we're starting like to crave more of it.
what did you want to show here?
No, it was just another catalogs that I remembered. These were um, trains that my dad used to collect, like when he was a kid. So he introduced me to them, and I remember I never had a single train, but we got these catalogs from Germany that were for these trains, and I was just spending the same amount of time just going through these catalogs and imagining, just like really appreciating like the details on these trains, because they're model trains and they're highly detailed. Like they look like the real thing, but just smaller. And the it was so interesting like to see these setups, because people would build these stations and landscapes and create these train compositions, and these trains also run. Like that was the other cool thing.
I think authentic always wins. So you can get to that moment where you have a lot of AI generated crap and so on, but then you see how it's quickly made, but things will swing to the other direction. Then people will be putting a lot of effort on things that are made with craftsmanship. I think the internet and the trends right now are a really good example of it. I've been off Instagram and social media besides LinkedIn for many years. And I remember the phase where it was all polished lifestyle, as you said. It was just off-putting to me. And now I rejoined Instagram for a few purposes. And suddenly I was like, whoa, like now it's completely the opposite. Now it's about watching people cook, watching people build a house, watching all kinds of do-it-yourself projects. It's not about, as you said, it's not about the cup, the mug. It's like, how did you make that mug? How did you come up with the style of the illustration? How did you print it and all these things? And actually, this type of content gets way more views than the ready result. And that's that in terms of reestablishing craftsmanship as a value. I think it's really great. Another trend where people are really honest, or maybe too honest and too unpolished on social media, I'm not as appreciative of. I see a lot of normalizing, whining, for example. Before you would take a picture of a perfect setup and then that's it. The sunlight, the pool, your nice bikini and nice bowl of strawberries, and there you go. That's the perfect shot. Like, and then caption all summer days like that. And then people are like, oh yeah, I wish I was living like that. And now it will be like zero effort. Like it will be like with your messy hair from the morning, with the unwashed dishes in the background, almost in the restroom while you're doing whatever you're doing there, taking a shot and putting it on social media and be like, oh, today I feel like crap and I'm making crap. Like, it's just, I don't appreciate that level of the social media. It feels more authentic and relatable because that's what everyday life is for any of us as humans. But it also sets a standard of being very low, in my opinion, because some of these voices get millions of viewership. Some of these powerful influencers have more than the national media in their country, for example, and they're just gonna normalize things that set the bar very low for life attitude, or just blast out any offense, joke, low level thought that comes across their mind because it's gonna get some viewership. And I'm like, yeah, but what is the intention of putting this out there? How are you contributing to the world of putting a picture of you being in the toilet and writing, I'm smashed today?
Maybe it doesn't need to have a higher purpose. Maybe what draws people is seeing somebody that is projecting a lot of confidence. You know, we get drawn like to the content that we consume for a reason. Like we're not indifferent. And I've seen like, for example, like there is this influencer. Her name is Cat GPT, and it's these Asian American that's super driven. Like it's a thin line between like very confident and almost like a bulldozer, right? Like she would go through everything. So some of the content, like, you know, I would listen to the content itself, but like what I noticed that is drawing me the most is actually the confidence that she's projecting. So obviously, like part of me finds this interesting, finds it attractive. And I think that for a lot of like these content creators and influencers, however we want to call them, this is like the thing that it's consumed. Like it's not so much like the thing that they're doing, but like the feeling that they're giving people. And also the other thing is that when you have a society that has been so oppressed and there has been so many dogmas and so many rules and so many taboos, like naturally, like you have this moment of fuck off. We're just going to do whatever we want. And in order to like calibrate itself, like when we were growing up, like the topic of sex was just, you don't talk about this. Like, you don't talk about it in public. You don't talk about it on TV. Like, that's why like the pop music was just so outrageous, because they were singing about it, right?
Yeah. There was a dispute in Denmark recently because there is this sex toys brand that has ads on the local buses. That are very provocative and are about sex toys and getting orgasm and so on. And it was a big dispute because it has naturally split the society, but also opened up the floor to a lot of discussions of what is allowed and what is appropriate. If you're a business and you don't put any illegal content, you cannot be restricted in buying ad space. But is it appropriate? Well, these things, a lot of people deem that it's inappropriate, but it's still allowed. So what do you do in that case? Like, how do you handle it? And yeah, it's a healthy conversation in a democratic society. This is where people need to open their minds to different perspectives, because if you manage to extrapolate yourself from your point of view and say, hey, but what are other people's points of view? What could that be? And then you might end up enriching your perspective.
Here's another interesting thing that happened recently. China, they banned OnlyFans. So what's your take on this?
I have very limited knowledge of OnlyFans. I know that from what I've seen on the media, China is actually restricting a lot of the social medias. I think I recently saw that children are not allowed. There's a restriction on even on adults, like there's like half an hour that you can spend on their version of Facebook per day. They're looking to grow their economy. If we abstract ourselves from any political views or anything, just look at what is the purpose of any government is to grow their resources and their power and their ability to gain stronger and stronger position. Well, in their interest is to have healthy citizens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't remember if I read it on CNN or on the New Yorker. They were making this review around that. Hey, the West is battling to reduce TikTok's influence, where teenagers are spending north of 5 hours a day on that platform. Even if it's not about the content that you're consuming, it's about the sheer waste of time and getting your brain wired to the dopamine that this format of content creates. And then you simultaneously have the very producers of that restricting it for their own population to half an hour. Well, then it should speak volumes to, hey, what is good and what is bad,
Never
and
get
maybe we should
high.
reconsider.
Yeah, never get high on your own supply,
Yeah, but OnlyFans, and that's the same category of things. There is probably a good reason, like from societal point of view, why they think that this is not good for majority of people. I've read that there is in the past years the biggest explosion among young adolescents' addiction to porn, and how this is fueled by physical loneliness and isolation, and trying to turn towards digital solutions to elevate that pain. Porn is one of the ways. Only ways is one of the ways to do it, but it still does not produce this outcome of connectivity that people are hoping for. So it can lead people to a very dark place of fake connectivity.
For sure. Like, loneliness is a surprisingly big market. And then you see like all sorts of like different products and services that are sprouting. I mean, to cater to it. AI friends and AI girlfriends is one of them. And I think that I'm not too sure on the statistics, but I think like for China, like there is like a huge percentage of the male population that would never in their life be with a woman. Think about this. Like it's a huge thing. Like it's a huge drive for any man, like to seek out a partner. And I think when you said it really well, that as an economy, like you're making like these decisions because essentially like you want to optimize for growth and working with your resources better. A lot of the Arab states and also Israel, they have completely banned gambling. That's why like they would travel like to other countries. Like there's a lot of Israelis that come to Bulgaria on gambling tourism because it's very close. Countries like Norway have put immensely high prices on alcohol because, you know, they couldn't otherwise like control like the consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting thing because you can't really ban it completely because then you create like the environment for a black market and then you can't regulate it and then you can't profit from it as a state.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, for example, alcohol and tobacco are legal. They're controlled and they're taxed, and generally like the money should be going into the health system, but not always. Because if you don't make them legal, then you're going to have like a black market. Then you're going to lose all the money as a state. One of the main reasons why the US went to all in on the war on drugs wasn't so much like about the health of the population. It was just billions of dollars that were leaving the country and going into Colombia and the other states in South America.
Yeah. It's interesting when you have played the game Civilization. I remember when you showed it to me and we spent immediately like a few hours just nerding on it. And I think it ties back to the conversation that right now our supermarkets are full of food that is artificially grown and full of bad nutrients and bad sugars and all these things because it's just cheap way to produce and cheap way to feed millions of people. And as a state, right now, that is what government has allowed and decided to prioritize that. Hey, cheap is good for us, and people should have their own critical thinking of what's good and bad. And there you go. And as an individual, it's not sufficiently good what's the norm and what you're offered as a general package. You can just enter the supermarket and eat what's there to be healthy, right? Like you have to apply your own critical thinking and your own vision for things to avoid it. And it goes with social media, it goes with any content you consume, it goes with education, pretty much just the fact that you have the freedom to choose in the society, it's incredible privilege. But it comes with that personal responsibility of being informed of what is good, what is bad, and then taking these decisions, which can feel very, very overwhelming because it is a lot of information and it's a lot of bad things out there that you're trying to ditch all day long.
I think like this is a good place to end our too long for a call.
Exactly. Stay healthy, people, and read the labels of everything you consume.
And also, just don't stress about it too much. You know, everything is temporary anyways, so we might as well enjoy candy every now and then. So I'm just going to continue eating my vegan food here. That doesn't have any processed food in it. But follow my advice.
I love it. Yep. Alrighty. Stephanie,
good.
See you in a week.
See you in a week, Anna. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. As always. Bye.